How you beautiful people doing? Hey, before we get started, can I ask you guys a favor? What I'd like to do at my table is, if you cosplay as any character from any show I've been on, then I'd like to put you guys on Facebook. And at the end of that, I put it all together and put it on Facebook. But at the end, I'd like to give them a round of applause, and that's where you guys come in, if you don't mind. If you can just scream like banshees when I say action, and put your arms up and everything, that would be awesome, if you don't mind. Yeah? Action. Very good. You guys are awesome. Yeah, so I like to start these things just by saying, you guys can ask me anything that you want. You can try to embarrass me. It has been, no one's been able to do it, so apparently I'm shameless, so bring it.
And having interviewed James before, he's right.
After the panel in London 2 or 3 years ago with John Barrowman, have you ever seen manipulated pictures of yourself on stage doing a talk again?
What are you talking about? I have seen nothing.
You were there. You were on stage.
Yeah, I was definitely there, but I didn't see any manipulated photos.
Were you not paying attention?
Oh yes, I blotted that out of my memory. Yeah. That was memorable. And no, I have not sought out any photos that were manipulated. I'm sure they're out there. And go to town. Just give me abs.
First of all, I would like to thank you for your work with Buffy. Buffy's really been part of my life, and it's helped me through a lot of things. So I really appreciate what you've done in the show. And I want to ask about Spike as a character. You've portrayed different kinds of Spike. So at first he's evil, then later he gets the chip, and then he goes to get his soul. Which part did you enjoy playing the most? What kind of Spike?
Evil. When you're playing a hero, you feel guilty about something. And so you always have to dredge up guilt as an actor. And you're always trying to save people. So you're always running to and fro, trying to save people, feeling guilty that you can't save everybody fast enough. And it's just a lot of work. And when you're evil, you just lurk. You wait for the hero to come sweating by, worrying, and then you jump out of the shadows and you hit him, and then everyone goes home. It's a piece of cake. Villains. Plus, villains age well. When I saw Count Dooku in the Star Wars movie, and he's like 75 years old, and they got a stunt double for the sword play and everything, I'm like, I'm down. Villains. That's it. I'll be the new Dooku.
Thank you. I was wondering, we're obviously all geeks, and we come here to meet actors and everyone. Who would you like to meet? Like, who would you buy a ticket for to be able to sit there and listen to them talk?
Man, no one's asked me that before. That's a really good question. See, I've met all my heroes. Like, when I was growing up, I had Spock on my wall. When I got the cardboard cutout of Spike, I was like, I've arrived! I had Spock now, I'm on the wall, this is great. And I remember accosting Leonard Nimoy in the green room of a con once. The poor guy was like 75 years old, I'm like, hi, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. He just wanted to close his eyes for 5 minutes. He was the nicest guy, He would have been it, but I met him and I blew it. So, like, later on, whenever I saw Leonard, I would just turn on my heel and be like, nope, I'm gonna leave him alone. I'm gonna leave him alone. Francis Ford Coppola. I would love to ask him about Apocalypse Now, because that is one of my favorite films. Apocalypse Now and Singing in the Rain are my two favorite movies. They're a little different, but they're both perfect movies.
Hi, I grew up with you. You don't know about that, but I grew up with you in Buffy, and I just wanted to ask you because Buffy was a part of my life for so long, and I grew up. I mean, after with the comics and everything. And you wrote some comics in the Buffyverse. And yeah, I was wondering, how did it feel? Was it different than acting? Or did you fulfill any wish that you wanted to do that you couldn't do as an actor in the show or something? What were the differences between acting it and writing it?
That's a great question. Yeah, I remember when I got down to Los Angeles, I had come from theater. And in theater, right, the lights go up and the play starts, and the director could be dead. The playwright could be dead. The props could all be gone. The costumes could be all gone. It doesn't matter. As long as the actors know what they're doing and the audience is there, you have a play and you can sell it. And so actors have a lot of control. We don't have stuntmen. We do everything. It's like a 3-hour magic act, and there can be no mistakes. And you have a lot of power in that instance. And then you go to Los Angeles. Okay, in theater, you're like the chef. You're like, do you guys have Benihana here? I don't know if you do. It's this Asian restaurant where the person like chops up the meat and the celery and the onions and stir fries it right in front of you. Right, so on stage, you're the Benihana chef. You do everything. And everything, the script, the costumes, everything else, they're just ingredients for you to do. But when you get to LA, you're just like a little piece of celery to be chopped up by the editor later to tell a story with. And so that loss of control and job description stuff, that was kind of hard for me coming to do television. And then they asked me to write a comic book. And I thought, aha, I can be Joss now. I have control now. So I wrote the most messed up love story I could ever imagine between Spike and Drew. Because like at the end, I wrote it after the end of season 2, where Spike knocks Drew over the head and kidnaps her basically and takes her away in the car. My thought was, what happens when she wakes up, man? Like, she's still in love with Angel. That's not going to be pretty for a long time. So I pick him up. They're in bed together. She's still murmuring Angel's name. Spike loses it, throws her out the window into the sunshine. She's burning to death. He takes off in the car. She's dying. Goodbye. And that's the very beginning, right? So I wanted to rip the characters as far apart as possible and then find a way for them to get back together. And they do make up, but it's like she gets all mad about the whole burning to death thing. So she gets together with a necromancer who's a magic person that can have power over dead flesh, so they can just run Spike around like a puppet, right? But they make up, and at the end of it, they have a cute little beautiful love scene, except in the background is a pile of burning dead bodies. And I wrote it as a romance, right? And the thing about a romance is that all the women reading the romance have to want to be the woman and have to want the man. All the men reading the comic book have to want to be the man and want the woman, or if you swing the other way, right? But that's how the thing works. And they drew it really ugly. And all that, like Drusilla was horrifically ugly, you know, like Spike was like, hi, you know, like that. And I thought the art style was cool, but I was just like, it's a romance, guys. You have to hold to that truth. It was a good comic book, but it would have been better if you would have just done what I told you to do. So that was hard. But now I'm kind of proud of it because it doesn't look like any other Buffy comic book. And then I wrote, more recently I wrote one called Into the Light, where I wanted to see what happened to Spike after he got the soul, before he knows what to do with it. And the whole thing is, if you're going to do that, how do you not retread Angel? It's the same story, right? So I thought, flip it, right? If Angel is an epic character and he's always thinking about his soul in a mansion, in front of a large fire, drinking port wine, okay, not that. So the opposite way would be Spike can't kill anyone for a meal, he can't rob anyone for new clothes or new boots, but he's not going to get a job, so he is starving to death, and he's homeless, so he's not having a good time. So that was kind of the beginning of that. And then I wanted to find a way for him to start figuring out how to live with a conscience. And so he gets a new pair of boots at the end. Like he loses the fight to the monster, he loses the romantic interest, but he finds a way to get a new pair of boots without hurting anybody and without having to work for them.
In Buffy, in the episode Restless, at the end you're watching a very altered version of Apocalypse Now, and you just said that's one of your favorite movies. What's your opinion on the altered version of it?
What? Remind me, Restless, which one was that?
That was the one where with Slayer and where they all where they have the dream world and then they wake up and.
How did that rip off Apocalypse Now?
It's not recognizable as the movie itself. Wow.
Well, that's a good rip-off because I didn't catch him at all. I say go. Like that at that point, it's inspiration. Like I'm in a band and they always ask you in interviews, like, who are your inspirations? And you have to laugh because the real question is, who are you ripping off? You know? But like, if you're gonna rip off a movie, rip that one. That's a perfect movie. Not the director's cut, not Redux. That's boring. But the original cut, awesome.
I love traveling, and you've been to so many cities and countries, so I would like to know which are your 3 favorite ones and why.
Wow. Okay. The honest answer is, I've been all over the world. I've seen very little because I'm always working. And very early on, I found that if I go out sightseeing and partying and stuff, when it comes time to come to work or do a convention or stuff, I'm not ready for it. So really, at this point, it's like, get in town, get in the hotel room, get in bed. Get ready, basically. Because when you're filming, it's 12, 15 hours a day. And when you're at conventions, you don't want to be like, hi. And you're dealing with jet lag and stuff. But, Barcelona, Seattle, and Amsterdam.
Nice get out.
In the Dresden Files, what was the most difficult voice to do?
Oh, in Dresden Files, the most difficult voice to do. And for those who don't know, the Dresden Files are a series of books about a wizard who's also a private eye. So it's like Sam Spade, Humphrey Bogart with Harry Potter together. And they're really delicious. And there's like 24 of these books, and I think I've read like 20 of them so far. And none of them were hard. Because it's wonderful because the author, Jim Butcher, all of his characters are either American or European. So they're all characters that I would be cast for in movies, right? And as a stage actor, you kind of get, if you can do accents, it behooves you, it's in your interest to get accents together that you might need for roles. So I've got a good accent for most European countries, serviceable, not perfect, not to fool you or anything. But like I don't do, like Congo, Thailand, stuff like that. I don't do so much. But Jim Butcher is right up my alley. It's all English people, German people, Czech, stuff like that. But I will say I did a book series called The Vampire Empire, and those were like, there was this one guy, he was a Japanese guy, and I went online and I thought I had a good Japanese accent. I started doing the character, and they interrupted me after like 3 seconds. They go, James, you're doing Chinese. Go again. And I had nothing. I had prepared nothing else. The clock is ticking by. There's money going on. It's like go. And it came into my mind. I don't know why. Mojo Jojo from Powerpuff Girls. You get in London. I will get you Powerpuff Girls. Okay. And he's Japanese. That's Japanese. So I just started this. Okay. Wonderful. I'm going to get you now. All right. And like he was like he was like a really deep character. He was like the mentor of the lead, who then goes evil. He's like a major character. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing Mojo Jojo the whole book. Like, well, but it worked. It was okay. I was looking for an award for that one.
Who was a better kisser, John Barrowman or Buffy?
Do you want the real answer or the answer that you want? Okay. This is the real one. I don't know. The truth is, when you're filming a kiss is very different than kissing a kiss. Like, anything that's glamorous on film is really hard to create. Like glamour means illusion, it means lie, it means fake. So the more glamorous it is, the harder it is to actually create that image. So glamour only exists on the screen. It doesn't exist on the set. And it's actually really a hard day when you have to do a glamour thing. Because like, when you're doing an overshot, which is over your shoulder onto the face of the person that we care about thing, your job is don't move. Like act, but don't start going like that because you'll ruin the shot. You'll get in their light or you'll get in the way of the camera or whatever. And the closer you get to the character that we're filming, the easier it is to get in their light. So when you're really up close to someone, you really have to be careful, right? So now when you're kissing somebody, it's super hard. So you go, and action, James. Oh, Buffy, I love you so much, I love you so much. No, that's 1 millimeter to the left, James. It's like, nope, too far, and back. Okay, go back. There you go. Action. Oh, Buffy, I love you. Nope, that's wrong. It's just, oh, God. When I first kissed Sarah, I think it was faith in Buffy's body. We were in the Bronze. I think we had 14 takes before I got it right. It was humiliating. Well, on another level, it was fun. But on a professional level, it was humiliating. Yeah. And so, it's really, I don't know. But I will say this. When you do stunts with someone, Sarah did some stunts, but a lot of the stunts on Buffy were doubles. But John comes from stage, like I do, where you don't get stuntmen. So we conspired, when we did our fight scene on that, we kiss each other and we beat the heck out of each other. We conspired, like, how little can we let the stuntmen work today? So I think the stunts did 2 shots in that sequence and everything else is John and I. And so when you do that, you're putting your health in the hands of someone else over and over and over again. And if they are not dependable, you can get hurt bad, fast. And John didn't hurt me and I didn't hurt John. And I trust him on a level that is very deep, actually. And I'd rather kiss him than anybody else I've ever kissed in my life.
He has a very similar answer to that, actually. So,
He stole it from me.
One episode on Buffy where you all have memory loss and you get to be the son of Anthony. How was it when you actually had to play his brother in Warehouse 13?
How was it in what?
When you had to play his brother for Paracelsus in Warehouse 13.
Well, yeah, in Warehouse 13, we were brothers. And the thing is that Anthony had, taught me how to do an English accent. Like if you look at School Hard, which is the first one that I did on Buffy, the accent is not so good. Like I come and I go, you were there. Like as if I'm from New Orleans or something. And I remember Tony had just losing it one day. I said, bullocks. Oh, that's bullocks. And he just comes up to me the next day, he's like, no, that's it. I'm done. You've embarrassed me. I've got to go home after this. It's not bullock. Just say it with me. Bullocks. Right? And I'm like, bullocks. No. Bullocks. And he went back and forth. And he tutored me by force for 6 months. So that's why Spike probably didn't die, and the accent worked was Tony Head. Also, I learned most of what I know about film acting from Tony Head, because I came from theater, and all of the acting tools that I had from theater don't work for film. They're deaf. And I realized that really quickly. And I just looked around Buffy, and I spotted the best actor on the set, and it was Tony Head by a mile. And I just parked my chair in front of him filming. Whether I was being used that day or not, I'd be on the set just watching. And I learned how to act from watching him. But I love doing Warehouse 13. It was great to be the good guy and watch Tony Head chew the scenery for a while. Let him be the bad guy. That was great.
Especially the thing about the gag they had, are you a vampire? Well, no.
You say about your English accent. Isn't your audition monologue very English-based?
Well, when I auditioned for it in the beginning.
That's the one.
Yeah, I did it from the beginning. Yeah, they thought it was good enough, but they were, Yanks, so they didn't know. Yeah. But I did that accent, and they're like, do you do any other accents? I'm like, I do them all. And they said, what? Give us another accent. And I had done this play where I was a character who was pretending to be multiple personality to get out of no, that was different. I was a character pretending to be. Forget it. I was doing a play where I was stalking a woman and I was pretending to be someone else, and I was on the phone with her, doing an accent with my voice lowered digitally, and I was doing this. I wanted to do a really southern accent, like way on down in New Orleans, baby, because I thought that was very sexy, and I thought that'd be a great voice over the phone, because I was trying to seduce her. Yeah, baby, yeah, like that. You love it too. Yeah. And so we were getting all these laughs, and I'm backstage with the phone, right, doing the scene, and there's all these laughs, and I'm like, what? They're laughing. What? And the director said they think you're a black man, and there's different jokes at play because it's an American audience and we're racist over there. There's all these jokes that are playing because they think you're black. So, and I said, well, what? White people don't talk like that? And the director said, not anymore. Like 150 years ago, yes, but not now. And so when they asked me at Buffy what other accent, I thought, oh, that would be perfect. Like only a white person 150 years ago would sound like that. So I'll do that. And I did that, and they thought that was cute. But then Josh was like, yeah, that's cute, but no, do the punk rocker, please.
But Sarah and David eat onions and stuff like that before they had a kissing scene. Did she ever do that to you?
No, she was well brushed up. Really? Onions?
I heard that.
That's horrible.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God, no. I would brush my teeth right before a scene like that, and I always do. I can't imagine doing anything else. You don't want the other actor covering up like a disgusted feeling. You want the other actor to give into hopefully whatever they have going on for you. You know. No, that's terrible.
We've seen Spike interact with Angel and Drusilla a lot, but we haven't seen him interact a lot with Darla. Since she's the one that started the whole groupie family, I was wondering, what do you think the relationship between them would be like?
Yeah, they had sex. You get bored after 75, 100 years. Darla, all right. I don't know. I really don't know, man. You know, like I am paid to stand on tape and wear the hair and take the language that is written and deliver it cleanly to the audience. Like I remember on my first professional job, it was The Tempest at the biggest theater in Chicago, the Goodman Theater. And I was in a panic, and I cornered one of the older actors, a guy named Bob Scoggins. Great dude, horrible teeth. And I go, Bob, what is the secret of Shakespeare? I'm like 21 years old. And he goes, kid, stand up straight, say your lines clearly, and get the hell off stage. And it was the best advice anyone ever gave me. Because really at the end of the day, actors are like waiters. And the writer is the chef. And all you gotta do is get the plate from the kitchen to the table without dropping it. So you just gotta honestly and simply and directly just say the words as if you mean them, and if you just are thinking them in the moment, then everything works. But if you start to twirl around with that plate, try to get fancy, try to look cool, try to be impressive, everything falls to pieces. So I'm not really thinking about anything but what's on the page. Yeah.
So in that respect then, did you have any kind of input into the character and the development of the character?
None. Zero. Goose egg. I had no input whatsoever. I will say though, I was the only person that could guess what was going to happen in the next episode. Like the press would be guessing, the other actors would be guessing, and I'd always nail it. And Josh came up to me one time and goes, how do you do that? No one in the world knows where I'm going. I'm like, oh, it's easy, Josh. You just take what a perfectly good writer would do and do the opposite and then make it really work. It's like, oh, that's my secret. Shit. Yeah.
So was it all very secretive, one script at a time, one episode at a time?
5 pages at a time. They were horrible. Like, usually on a show, you'll get the script before you shoot it. But on Buffy, Joss was so particular, they were going through rewrites until the last second all the time. So often, we'd have an outline of the episode, and you'd have the pages for that day, and that was it. But I always said, I'd rather wait for a good script than shoot a mediocre one.
I have a question about Dragon Ball, actually. Well, I know that the hardcore fans did not really respond too well to it, but...
It was a horrible movie. Let's just get that right out of the way. God-awful film. Thank you.
What's your honest opinion?
Okay, in my defense, oh God, I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan. I remember when my son was 7 years old, we were in a toy store and he asked, can I watch that? And it said only for 13 years plus. And I just said, well, let's watch it together and we'll talk about it. And we started watching Dragon Ball Z, and it was awesome, and we went and got more DVDs, we kept watching it. And I found that it was a great conversation starter between me and my son about what a real man is. Because I think Goku is a great template for true manhood. Which is to say, I think that a real man is peaceful, humble, goofy, playful. If you give him his choice, he's going to be on a hammock and or he's going to be playing with his children, period. But if you attack his family, you're toast. And so, like men are peacekeepers. They're not chaos starters. They're peacekeepers. It's an important difference. So you have Goku who's a perfect man, and then you have Vegeta, who is an overgrown boy in a man's body, creating chaos so that he can prove what a man he is, because he hasn't realized he doesn't have to prove anything. He's a man already. He just can relax now. So I have deep respect for Dragon Ball Z. So when I auditioned for it, they said it was a $130 million budget, which is plenty of money for that kind of film, and Stephen Chow was producing it. Stephen Chow was one of my favorite directors. He did Kung Fu Hustle, Shaolin Soccer, which are goofy and lovely and dangerous and everything that Dragon Ball would need. Then they cast me. I get down to Durango, Mexico. I find out that they lied. It's a $30 million picture, and Stephen Chow was nowhere to be seen. He was just on paper to fool everybody down to Durango. But I didn't want to give up. I was like, let's just make it work anyway, guys. Let's just do our best. And we all tried. Chow Yun Fat and I were just bitching all the time. I can't believe we got fooled into this. They never used the guy, the stuntman. They never used him because they would have had to put him through the 4-hour makeup treatment that they put me through, and that was too much money. So they just had a pullover mask over this guy, Danny Hernandez, one of the best stuntmen in Los Angeles, but they could never use him because they didn't want to spend the money. So I still have a separated clavicle from that shoot. I got beat mercilessly for weeks for that shoot. I remember one wire gag where I had to get sucked into the Mafu Ba thing, and it was like 30 feet off the ground, and you're on a wire, and you just have to jump over the side and begin a rotation. So you have to get out horizontal and be still horizontal and begin a rotation. And now that's that's pretty impressive if you can do that, right? So I come to set, and I'm still thinking that they're going to use a stuntman. And Danny's up on the wire. He's in costume, but he looks like Danny from here up. And he does the gag, and he lays out too far. And he comes smashing back into the rock wall, which is real rock, and just cheese grates along it. And they lower him down. He's twitching and bleeding and laughing, because that's what stuntmen do. And the director turns around and goes, "Ready, James?" And I'm just like, dude, me? Like, how big is Danny? Danny's like this. Let me see the monitor. And I looked at playback. Danny's face is this big. The director's like, well, no, on the movie screen's going to be much bigger. God, we need you. And I did it, and we got it in 2 takes, and I laid out, and I got the rotation, and I remember they lowered me down to the cliff, and then Jojo, who is the stunt choreographer, he walked by me with a walkie-talkie, and I know he knew that I could hear him, but he's in the walkie, he's like, well, we got away with that one. all I can do, man, is I tried my best, but that's a horrible movie. Horrible. I met Goku and said he forgives me. Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Hi, I just got one question. If you could be any character in any movie, what would it be?
If I could be any character in any film? I have no idea. I don't really spend a lot of time thinking about what I plan for, because like I can have my expectations, but as it turns out, the universe does not reorder itself every time I get a new expectation. You know, like John Lennon said, "Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans." Right? So whatever I come up with is probably going to be centered around making me look cool, which is pretty boring. But the roles I tend to get make me uncomfortable and make me fearful and challenge me in a way that I never would have chosen. So I don't really think about what I would find. I just try to find something that scares me, frankly.
Have you ever turned a role down which you've later regretted doing?
Yeah. I don't like characters that, well, sexual violence. I don't really like to do that. I was forced into it on Buffy, but I was already contracted for 7 years to do that. And like if one of those scenes, if I see a movie has that in it, I don't go see it. If it pops up on television, I've got to leave the room. So I've turned down a lot of stuff like that, definitely.
You've been a sex symbol for so many years now. Don't you know? What are your opinions about that? Do you mind? Do you?
I'm just surprised how many people out there have really good taste.
But what's the weirdest thing that ever happened when women might approach you?
You know, I find that Buffy fans tend to be smart and funny and don't take themselves too seriously. I find that Buffy fans tend to be fairly sophisticated, actually. And so I don't really have a lot of strange stories to tell. Fans that I interact with are usually pretty cool. The only thing was something that happened early on, and also I get better about kind of telling people, look, don't grab my butt, I'm not into that. You know, like I have a bad day, no, seriously, don't grab my butt. The people later in line won't have a good time with me if someone just grabs you. It's not nice, right? It makes you feel weird. So anyway, but this is early on, and I didn't know that this stuff would happen. I was in London, and we were at a cocktail party, and there's just people surrounding me, and this old lady comes up and says, I've got a favor to ask you for my friend. And I look over, and the friend's in a walker. She's like 90 years old, smiling. And I'm like, sure, whatever. I've been drinking a little bit. And she goes, could you turn around? I'm like, yeah, sure. Turn around. And then I hear, could you bend over? And I'm right there. Should have known, right? Should have known. But I've been drinking and I didn't know. This is early. And I bent over. And the older woman takes her hand off the walker and just grabs me full on up in there. And she says, now clench. And I was just like, that's it, end of the party. And I ran up to my room. But that's what kind of taught me, let it be known. Like John Barrowman doesn't mind grabbing body parts. That's cool for him. For me, no, thank you. I'll save that for my wife. Where are you, buddy? Hello.
What is your favorite Spike line? No Buffy or Angel Servant?
Out for a walk. Bitch. Yeah, right on. You guys have been fabulous. I love you all.
Thank you. Marsters.
Nee, maar het is inderdaad een compleet gekkenhuis hier momenteel binnen. Ik heb Steve Austin gezien. Hoe heet die jongen? Sean Austin. Ja. Mijn excuses. Sean Austin gezien met een interview. En algemene indruk.
Ja, het is iets kleiner dan wat we gewend zijn van hun in Engeland. Maar dat is ook zo verwacht. Ze hebben een half jaar gehad om het hier op te zetten. Dus ja, ze hebben eigenlijk best veel voor elkaar kunnen krijgen in slechts een half jaar.